The entire story has come to an end. If anyone's handling business in the bathroom, remember to pick the right position. The dramatic tale is about to begin. I accidentally double-tapped a profile picture of the goddess who had passed away. The system displayed. I patted Alara Frost on the shoulder and said, "Hey sis, come into my arms." 5 minutes later, the goddess messaged back with one line, "Your wife won't mind, right?" Graduation day from university was approaching. I mustered all my courage to send Alara Frost a love letter, then waited anxiously for days on end. One night, I unexpectedly received 3 ambiguous words from her. "Come to my place." Even knowing this invitation carried a hint of flirtation, I still agreed as if possessed by some demon. Throughout the journey there, I felt like I was walking on clouds, my heart soaring endlessly. But the moment I pushed open her door, I froze on the spot. In the living room, a group of women were tipsy. All of them shot probing glances full of implication my way. Alara Frost lazily leaned against the bar, her slender fingers swirling a glass of champagne, her delicate face hazy under the lights, exuding a distant cold aura. A dapper man wrapped his arm around her shoulder, jutting his chin to ask, "Frosty, your new boyfriend?" Alara Frost replied coolly, "Just a student helper in the lab. 4 years of college." I was always her little assistant in the lab, silently trailing her like a shadow. This one-sided love was like poison gnawing at my soul day by day. In the end, I couldn't hold back, and revealed my feelings. That man sized me up from head to toe, then smirked meaningfully. "Showing up at a woman's house this late. Looks like this student's thoughts aren't so innocent." I stood rigid amid everyone's mocking stares, my hands dangling, clutching the hem of my pantsuit. Alara Frost glanced over lightly. "Alex Yuan, help me tidy up a bit." "Yes." I bowed my head low, scrambling straight into the kitchen. Behind me, the man's words pierced my heart. The women burst into laughter. My tiny secret had been seen through completely by them. One woman teased, "This little guy likes you so much. Why not just accept him?" I was humiliated to the point of wanting to crawl into a hole, burying myself in washing the dishes quickly, but my ears still perked up, listening for any movement outside. I was tense yet eager to see what would happen next. The trickling water couldn't drown out Alara Frost's faint smile. "Dream on," another woman teased. "That kid looks pretty handsome though. An old cow grazing on young grass isn't bad. Why won't you go for it?" Alara Frost slowly countered. "Who would ever like a cripple anyway?" I don't remember how I left Alara Frost's house. The only thing I recall is squatting by the roadside, sobbing my heart out. Yes, my left ear hears absolutely nothing. My right ear isn't much better, always needing a hearing aid. Does that mean the disabled have no right to love? My self-respect had been trampled mercilessly by Alara Frost. I silently vowed never to like her again. During that time, my mood was utterly wretched. My sister was worried, so she came to pick me up from school every day. Because she showed up so often, rumors started swirling in school that I was about to get married. I was too lazy to bother explaining. After receiving an acceptance letter from an Ivy League school, I immediately set off abroad. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed, until my old school invited me back to work. On the first day moving into the new office, I accidentally found an old newspaper on the bookshelf. After 5 years apart, news about Alara Frost suddenly hit me. The glaring headline on the official newspaper page: "Renowned young physicist, Mrs. Alara Frost, passed away at home at 2 a.m. aged 32. In the black and white photo, she still looked so elegant and gentle. The corners of her eyes seemed to hold a trace of a smile, yet they exuded a distant, chilling coldness. The student helping me move glanced over and exclaimed, "Hey, isn't that Professor Frost?" My body turned ice cold. My teeth chattered uncontrollably. "What did she die from?" The student thought for a moment and replied, "I heard it was to complete a research project. She refused to go to the hospital, just holding on with medication like that for years." I stared blankly at the newspaper in my hand. The student's voice in my ear seemed to come from somewhere far away, growing more and more ethereal. About 2 years ago, Professor Frost successfully researched bioregenerative eardrums, but just a few days later, she passed away. The office you're in right now was where Professor Frost used to work. Since she died, this place has been completely sealed off. The electronic cochlea in my ear suddenly emitted strange sounds, growing sharper and sharper. I clamped my ears shut. "I got it." The student said nothing more. "Everything's moved up, sir. Just call us if you need anything." With that, he hurried out, gently closing the door behind him. The freshly cleaned office looked spacious and empty. Outside the window, the green tree canopies rustled in the wind. Sunlight streamed through the glass, highlighting the dust particles floating in the air. I plopped down into the chair, my limbs cold as blocks of ice. Over all those years, I still thought of Elara Frost now and then, but my heart was always filled with resentment. I once swore I'd never want to see her again in this lifetime. Yet, when I knew for sure I'd never meet her again in this life, an unbearable, chilling emptiness surged in my heart. I just sat there in a daze, no idea how much time had passed. Suddenly, as if compelled by some force, I pulled out my phone, searched for Elara Frost's WeChat again. The last message on the screen was during the 3rd Lunar New Year, while I was studying abroad. Elara Frost had sent me a New Year's greeting after so long without contact. "Dear Alex Yuan, Happy New Year. May every year and month bring you peace and smoothness." Thinking back, that was probably her last New Year in this world. But back then, I was still holding a grudge, resenting her, angry at her, so I didn't bother replying a single word. My fingers trembled, tapping lightly on her profile picture over and over. Gazing at that photo, my heart filled with regret. If only I'd replied to her then. Maybe I could have seen her one last time. While immersed in that chaotic mess of emotions with no escape, the phone suddenly vibrated hard. I realized in shock I had accidentally double-tapped her profile picture. The screen showed a line. I just patted Elara Frost on the shoulder and said, "Hey sis, come into my arms." I was stunned on the spot, all my sorrowful emotions shattered by this sudden line, like birds scattering in fright. Anyone who uses WeChat knows. Just double-tap the profile picture, and it sends a shoulder pat notification with the content behind set by the other person. Could Elara Frost really have set such a cheesy shoulder pat like this? Since when did Elara Frost know how to flirt so boldly? Before I could even recover from this shock, the chat window slowly displayed a line. "Elara Frost, your wife won't mind, right?" My body felt like it was struck by lightning, trembling violently. How could a dead person reply to messages? How is that possible? Elara Frost had been gone for nearly 2 years. Back then, WeChat didn't even have this shoulder pat feature. How could she have set this content? Someone must have used this phone after she died. I angrily typed a few words. "Who is this?" The other side replied instantly, "Elara Frost," then added a jab. "Dear Alex Yuan, you couldn't even bear to give me a nickname." This tone, this way of addressing me, familiar to the point of freaking me out. I don't believe it. I continued questioning. "Stop pretending. I know Elara Frost is dead. Why are you impersonating her?" This time the other side went silent for a few minutes. I was frantic, like sitting on hot coals, urging repeatedly, "Say something." Elara Frost leisurely replied, You wish I was dead that much. Fine. I'll confess then. My head was full of question marks. Elara Frost. It's me, Elara Frost. Right now, I'm lying in my coffin texting you. In my mind instantly, her lazy teasing figure appeared. My heart pounded. Could I really be encountering a ghost? Even scarier was Elara Frost adding, "It's so dark around here. Are you scared?" My hand shook wildly. The phone nearly flew out. If it's not someone pranking me, then the one on the other end is human or ghost. I panicked and hit the voice call button, my heart hanging upside down on a branch. Finally, she picked up. But the other end was dead silent, as if she was in a dark, sealed space. No wind, no breath of life. I called out shakily, "Elara Frost." From the speaker came a low, gentle voice. "It's me." The phone thud dropped from my hand. I scrambled to pick it up in a frenzy. Elara Frost seemed to notice something and chuckled softly. "In broad daylight like this, it's hard for me to believe in ghosts." My mind raced through every thought. As a physics student, I leaned toward the parallel universe theory. Though the idea sounded utterly insane, I still asked shakily, "Elara Frost, what's the date over there right now?" May 11th, 2018. Elara Frost seemed exasperated by me, teasing wickedly, "You idiot. I'm in a coffin. Time's the same as yours." Hearing that date, my eyes suddenly stung. It's not the same. She's in 2018, while I'm in 2024. We're separated by 6 whole years. Elara Frost, if I say I'm Alex Yuan from 2024, would you believe me? The line went beep, beep, beep. The call cut off. I stared complicatedly at the silent chat. She probably thinks I'm crazy. Who'd believe something so absurd? 10 minutes later, Elara Frost messaged humorously, "Sorry, signal's weak in the coffin." I was caught between laughter and tears. In my memory, Elara Frost was utterly ladylike in front of others. But with me, she'd occasionally show her lazy side. And sometimes a bit witty. So, back then I thought she treated me different. But later, I realized, behind that laziness was all coldness, suppressing the sorrow in my heart. I pressed, "Do you believe me?" Elara Frost replied. I asked again, "Why?" The chat showed typing, but no message came for ages. I figured the great physics professor, Elara Frost, would write a long explanation on the principles of cross-time communication. Unexpectedly, after a long while, she just sent a short sentence. "Whatever dear Alex Yuan says, I believe." I stared at that sentence, sneering. You'd even believe the words of a cripple." Elara Frost went silent again. I thought she wouldn't bother with me anymore. But then she changed the subject. "How's 27-year-old Alex Yuan doing?" I replied sulkily, "Doing great. Studied successfully. Invited back by the old school as a professor, and even took over your office." Elara Frost. Impressive. My fingers slid back and forth on the screen. Finally, couldn't resist typing a line. Full of resentment, Elara Frost. "See, even a cripple can shine, and have people who care." The screen showed typing for a long time again. She seemed to want to say something, but didn't know how to start. Finally, Elara Frost concluded, "If I may ask, what's the next jackpot number?" I was speechless. Is this even human? Pure fantasy. I angrily cursed. "Elara Frost, you're really something else." That night, I dragged my best buddy Ethan Blaze out, drinking until I was blackout drunk, oblivious to the world. Gulping down booze, I wailed miserably. When I was sad enough to die, she goes and asks me for the jackpot numbers. Tears poured out like endless rain. Even more frustrating, though I cursed her outwardly, deep down I was restless with worry. Could she really be that broke? Ethan Blaze. After hearing I connected with Ilara Frost, his eyes went wide in shock. It took him a while to snap back, pouting, "You, man. You're really hopeless. What's the point of being promising? She can't see it anyway." Ilara Frost from 2018, for sure. She definitely couldn't imagine that over a year later, she'd leave this world herself. Over these years, I've always suppressed a longing in my heart. I desperately made myself more outstanding, madly chasing her footsteps, just hoping one day she could admit with her own eyes that she misjudged me back then. Who could have guessed she'd depart so suddenly? Ethan Blaze sighed helplessly, pondered a bit, then said, "Wasn't she sick? And refused hospital treatment too? Maybe besides focusing on research, she was really short on money." I clutched the bottle tightly, suddenly zoning out. The key opportunity. You could tell Ilara Frost from 4 years ago to get treatment. If everything goes well, wouldn't she live until now? Then wouldn't you get to see her again? Ethan Blaze's words hit like thunder, shaking me to my core, soul scattering. The alcohol surged, my mind foggy, unable to think further. Boot. Forcibly changing the past could trigger the butterfly effect. What the future becomes, no one can say. He continued, "Whether you two can meet again or not, that's hard to tell." In that moment, amid my chaotic mind, a ray of hope suddenly flashed. I was ecstatic to madness, crying and laughing wildly, tapping the phone screen. Screw it all, I have to tell her the jackpot numbers. I frantically searched online for the winning sequence, hastily sent it right to Ilara Frost. It was midnight, I feared she wouldn't see it. "Heart burning," I called voice, right away. "Thank heavens," she picked up. Without waiting for her to speak, I wailed, "Ilara Frost, I sent you the winning numbers. Go buy it quick." Ilara Frost was silent for a moment, under the alcohol's influence. I felt like floating on clouds, no longer caring about anything else. Crying even harder. Once you have money, you must get proper treatment. Just thinking she'd die, my heart ached like knives. Voice trembling, begging her, "Please don't die, okay?" Early autumn night. Cold wind threading through tall buildings. Distant lights swaying, as if they could fall any moment. The surroundings sank in silence, making my cries even more piercing. Ilara Frost sighed softly. "You idiot." Yes, I'm really an idiot. Idiot enough not to notice how much you despised me, yet foolishly liking you all these years. Normally, I'm not talkative, even somewhat quiet and reserved, only when drunk. Do I dare pour out all my heart's secrets? I clutched my chest, sobbing. "Ilara Frost, I'm begging you, don't die. Even if you truly look down on a cripple like me, I still want you to live. But to live well." Ilara Frost seemed to set the phone aside. From the receiver came suppressed coughing. After a while, her voice grew hoarse, as if after a tearing pain, but her tone was unusually gentle. "Stop crying. Your tears just make my heart ache more." My heart clenched, frantically asking, "Where does it hurt?" Heartache. The next morning, waking up to check the WeChat chat history, that regret clawed at my soul. I just wanted to slap myself. Recalling her heartache line, my heart surged wildly again. This person, I'm really seeing less and less through her, calming my emotions. Compelled by some force, I messaged Ilara Frost. "Bought the ticket yet?" She replied, super fast. "Want a share?" Last night's subtle flirtation vanished in an instant. I was truly speechless. What kind of style is this? Last night, flirting like that. This morning, acting all carefree. as if last night was just my dream. I was furious. For days straight, I ignored her. That Elara Frost naturally didn't bother reaching out either. WeChat suddenly went dead silent until that evening. Just finished a class. I was packing my lesson plans to slip away, when a student sidled up curiously. Professor Yuan, heard you were once a student of Professor Frost. Is that true or not? My hand froze, replying, yeah. Attended a few of her classes. Elara Frost was a specially invited professor. Her classes were pitifully few, but each one was packed to the brim, crammed like sardines. Back then, snagging a spot in her class became a trend. The school's internal network crashed from overload every time. So, can I ask you a personal question? This student hesitated forever before blurting out. Everyone's buzzing that the new Professor Yuan and Professor Frost were once a couple. Is that real? I got it. These kids were here for the gossip drama. I couldn't help laughing, shaking my head. All nonsense. The student didn't seem convinced. How could there be nothing? I teased back. You seem disappointed. Since returning to school, I've really heard plenty of students whispering about the relationship between me and Elara Frost. I didn't pay much mind. Didn't expect them to dare ask outright like this. He panicked, pulling out evidence to convince me. You're definitely fooling me. The upperclassmen all say Professor Frost chose bioregenerative eardrums as her final life's research project because of you, and even named the research after you. The students in class trickled out. The classroom suddenly vast and empty. A breeze blew through the window, stirring unease in my heart. I asked blankly, what name? Echo Essence. Don't you know? On our school forum, someone even wrote about your love story with Professor Frost. What was the title again? The Echo of Alex Yuan in the Path of Light. He rambled on endlessly. Suddenly, I felt my electronic cochlea like stabbed by electricity, head pounding like it would explode. That pain lasted a long while. Back home, I was exhausted, no strength left. I sat dazed for ages, opened Elara Frost's WeChat, fingers hovering over the keyboard, writing then deleting, deleting then writing. In the end, no idea what to say. It seemed like so many things, buried in that unknown time, full of mystery, to the point no one knows where to start. How strange. I hadn't even sent the message. Elara Frost messaged first, still in her teasing tone. Hard to speak up like that. Really coming to split the money. The longing to see her erupted like a volcano. I had no mind for jokes. Quickly typing, I want to see you. Maybe she didn't expect this request. So, she suddenly went quiet, waiting forever with no reply. I decisively video called directly. She didn't answer, nor hang up. The ring echoed in the silent night. Headache struck again. I curled up uncomfortably on the sofa, gritting teeth, typing. Elara Frost, you're such a jerk. After sending that why, my eyes started stinging. If back then you were so ruthless to me, then be ruthless to the end. Why at the end of life? Leave that vague affection, teasing me to draw near, then pushing me miles away. Despair clung to me like a shadow, right when I was most discouraged. The video call ring suddenly rang out, clearly craving to see her. But when about to meet for real, my heart tangled like knots. I jumped up like a shrimp from the floor, frantically smoothing my bird's nest hair, then trembling, pressed accept. The screen flashed. I held my breath instantly, heartbeat seeming to stop for a moment. The image on camera like frozen. Night envelope, cool moonlight through the window, sliced by the frame into countless fragments. She sat quietly by the sill in the mottled light, her slender figure ethereal, distant as the horizon, truly like a dream. She turned her head slightly, looking at the camera with a faint smile. Moonlight lingered on her slightly thin lashes, exuding a gentle, alluring charm. Tell me, how did I become such a jerk? Someone so exquisitely beautiful. Who wouldn't be smitten at first sight? But right now, I couldn't feel joy at all. I stared, stunned, at the wheelchair beneath her, mind-buzzing. Voice, trembling too. Since when, sis? She naturally knew I was asking about the wheelchair. Her lips curved in a light smile, as if letting go of everything. Can't remember. Probably a few years now. Elara Frost was so nonchalant, as if the disabled person in the wheelchair wasn't her at all. Sorrow surged from my chest, making every breath painfully deep. I quickly turned the camera away, tears falling like broken beads. It was me who was wrong. Back then she said who would like a cripple anyway. I thought she was insulting me. Never imagined. The cripple she meant was herself. The air silent for a moment. Elara Frost sighed softly. Hiding to cry again, huh? Just afraid you'd see and cry along. I sobbed, heartbroken, unable to utter a word. Elara Frost pretended to be fierce, to threaten. Ignore me and I'll hang up. I didn't believe she'd do it, but still tried to calm down, turning the phone camera back to my face. Though I deliberately kept the phone far, those red-rimmed eyes couldn't be hidden. Elara Frost chuckled lightly. So many years. This bad habit still hasn't changed. I turned my face away, a grievance rising in my heart. Just because you feared I'd cry, you hid everything. What's wrong with liking someone disabled? Is it illegal? Elara Frost seemed to read my mind, lips curling. Oh, your temper's getting bigger, huh? I glared at her, about to argue back, but glimpsing her hands, I swallowed the words. Night breeze brushed lightly, white voile curtains by the window, swaying. Elara Frost sat with her back to the door, hands on the wheelchair arms, looking pale, fragile, emaciated to the point of heartbreak. She'd thinned, much thinner than before, thin enough to wrench the heart. Planning to speak nicely, but opening my mouth, my voice was prickly. Without me cooking for you, you'd probably starve, huh? Elara Frost was like that. Beyond research, she had zero interest in worldly desires. She lived as if untouched by dust. I should have realized early that this world couldn't hold her forever. Elara Frost nodded along gently. Yeah, it's all because you spoiled my tastes. I wasn't narcissistic enough to think she couldn't live without me. But my heart still ached. If only back then, I hadn't misunderstood and stubbornly stayed by her side. Would the ending be different? Elara Frost, I'm listening. I stared at her intently, eyes reddening again. I really want to hold you. Clearly you're right before my eyes. Yet I can't touch, can't reach. That empty, helpless feeling clawed at my soul. Truly wanting to meet you, to hug you tight, to feel that real warmth, even separated by vast distances. Just thinking we'd reunite, eventually, filled that long road with hope. But now, we're in two completely different spaces. How can we embrace? Elara Frost's eyes flickered briefly. She lowered her gaze, scolding softly. You idiot. My eyes red-rimmed, tears blurring. Why didn't you reply? To me? If you had, I definitely wouldn't have left. She sighed helplessly. The letter, I replied long ago. My eyes widened, full of confusion. She replied, why didn't I get it? Just about to demand answers. She spoke in a coaxing tone like for a child. Don't be silly. Compared to your brilliant life, anyone is just a faint supporting role. In my memory, Elara Frost never preached morals. Now these words from her mouth felt unusually heavy. Don't let anyone block your path. Not even me. How could I listen? Head shaking wildly like a rattle. Don't talk nonsense. My matters are mine to decide. Elara Frost started to say something, then stopped. Pain clear between her brows. Night deep as ink, cold moonlight spilling across the ground. She stood in that quietude, enveloped by loneliness. That moonlight pierced my heart, becoming a sharp blade, making old wounds bleed non-stop. The craving to meet her burned like fire, silent for ages. Elara Frost asked gently, "Going so far alone like that must be tiring, huh? Don't look back, keep going forward." My heart skipped a beat, feeling Elara Frost was about to vanish again. The thought just arose when over there, Elara Frost suddenly smiled. "Dear Alex Yuan, seeing you again is wonderful." "That's enough, Elara Frost," I screamed in panic, voice breaking from trembling. She reached for the phone, covering the lens. The screen went pitch black. Her voice echoed in the darkness. "Let time heal time. Let the past rest in the past. Live well." With that, the call ended. I felt my blood freeze, heart turning utterly cold, hand shaking, sending her messages. Sure enough, I'd been blocked. I didn't give up, sending message after message, but all sank like stones in the sea, knowing she wouldn't bother with me anymore. Elara Frost was that ruthless, not even giving a chance for farewell. Whether start or end, everything under her control. I swallowed tears, sending a line she'd never receive. "Elara Frost, I hate you, but this hate doesn't match a fraction of the love I have for you." The story began on a day many years ago. The renowned Professor Frost's lab posted a job ad. Students applying lined up endlessly. Others came for the fame, while I came only because I was poor. That day, the interviewing teacher saw my hearing aid. Without a word, crossed my name off immediately. He said I wasn't suitable. Sounded polite, but I still saw the disgust in his eyes. I'd seen this scene many times. Didn't feel too humiliated, but my eyes reddened anyway. Perhaps because this prejudice came from a teacher I respected. I bowed my head to turn away. When I accidentally bumped into someone, panicked, I looked up, meeting a pair of deep, serene eyes. The office vast, quiet enough to hear heartbeats. Sunset glow brilliant, like surging tides, enveloping everything. Elara Frost's slightly thin figure, shrouded in a hazy halo, as if about to melt into this gentle dusk. Her hands steadily caught me. The moment our eyes met, she frowned slightly. Behind, the teacher greeted respectfully, "Professor Frost." Elara Frost nodded lightly, sharp gaze, immediately landing on the resume in my hand. "Tell me, why do you want to be a lab assistant?" I was a bit dazed, then shyly lowered my head, mumbling, "Because I'm poor." Balancing study and work had become essential in my student life. The lab assistant position under Elara Frost, undoubtedly the best choice. Though self-reliance isn't shameful, admitting it in front of so many, a teenager's pride surged, making me so embarrassed, I wanted to crawl into a hole. Elara Frost gently took my resume, her low voice laced with a smile. "I hire assistants because I'm lazy." That timely, witty remark made everyone around burst into cheerful laughter. She skimmed the resume quickly, her gaze returning to me, full of focus and courtesy. "Dear Alex Yuan, we're sure to get along great." The 3 words, "Dear Alex Yuan," from her lips, like a gentle warmth enveloping me, treated so kindly, I just wanted to repay with even more kindness. Youth's infatuation, like flames, igniting in a summer field, spreading to vast grasslands in an instant. Elara Frost was inherently cool and solitary, like an isolated entity, hating crowds, loathing sunlight, most of her time buried in the lab, hiding in darkness. When focused on work, she shone like white flames under moonlight. In countless dark moments, I could always see that burning blaze. She didn't like talking, most times sunk in silent contemplation. Through a whole long day, our conversations, countable on fingers. Even so, being with her over time, an indescribable bond formed between us. She just raised a hand. I'd instantly know what she needed. Just a glance. She'd understand what I was pondering. She often called me a crybaby, and it was true. 4 years following her, the times I cried weren't few. Why cry, you ask? Because she burned her hand carelessly in an experiment. My eyes reddened instantly. Because once in the lab, she'd work forgetting food and sleep. I recalled news of overwork deaths, advising, but she wouldn't listen, could only shed tears. When she was ill, I stayed by her bedside, wiping tears non-stop. Perhaps she knew this kid wasn't really a crybaby. Later, crying just from heartache for her. Yet she always kept boundaries, never crossing lines. Over those years, with the gentlest ways, she soothed my lonely, empty soul countless times. She was that type, always surrendering to my tears. Just my eyes reddening, she'd obediently comply, muttering non-stop, "I really brought home a little ancestor." That was one of Ilara Frost's rare cute moments. So vivid and clear. To the point later, I could easily recall her so full of life. She was more wonderful than all mountains, rivers, moons, stars in this world. Those years were time belonging just to us, too. Our closeness surpassed anyone, but we weren't lovers. After losing contact with Ilara Frost, I took leave for several days straight. No idea how to vent. I decisively drove myself to the cemetery one late afternoon. Unexpectedly, someone arrived before me. Hearing footsteps, the man slowly turned, his eyes rimmed red. My memory's always good. In an instant recalling the scene years ago when I confessed to Ilara Frost, then got called to her place. Yes, back then, it was him hugging Ilara Frost's shoulder, calling her Frosty so intimately. Their affectionate demeanor was the first heavy blow to me that night. Alex Yuan, the man gaped slightly. Unexpectedly, he knew my name. I couldn't be bothered to wonder how he knew me. Just nodded lightly, then placed the bouquet of sunflowers in hand, down by the black gravestone. You still remember she liked sunflowers? He glanced at me, his expression a mix of surprise and relief. She didn't like any flowers at all, I stubbornly retorted, but my heart filled with bitter taste. Ilara Frost's home and lab had always been excessively simple, not a single extra item. That day, on the way to her place, passing a small flower stall, I suddenly wanted to buy a bouquet, to add some color to that desolate space. I snapped a photo and sent her, asking, "Professor Frost, what flowers do you like?" She replied decisively, "None at all." My heart sank instantly, but unexpectedly she added. I looked closely at the photo. Among those, sunflowers are the prettiest. Get that one. From then, sunflowers became a regular guest in her home. Who doesn't like flowers anyway? The man smiled and said, he told me, Ilara Frost was his biological sister, but he and she weren't very close. He even said Ilara Frost wasn't close to anyone, except me. I widened my eyes in stunned shock. Those years, Ilara Frost indeed lived very isolated, rarely interacting with others. The man gazed at the photo on the gravestone, sighing. Fate between people is truly wondrous. So strange. Someone like her, knowing how to feel heartache for others. He began recounting the old story in detail. That night, When I fled, crying from Elara Frost's house, she got drunk and confided in her brother. She said, "That kid, once his eyes redden, who wouldn't feel heartache seeing it?" So, from the first meeting, she felt compassion. Elara Frost described our encounter like this: "It was when one lonely soul found its kin. Utterly miraculous. I feel he's the one who fits me best." Those 4 years to her were companionship, comfort, a gift from God. The man advised me, "You should try Echo Essences. After all, it's her life's work." Watching his back as he left, I suddenly had an idea. I strode after him calling, "Mr. Frost." I stopped him. "If I may ask, could you let me see Professor Frost's belongings?" I guessed with his feelings for Elara Frost, he must have kept her things. At least I hoped so. He turned back, looking at me without a word. I really didn't know how to explain about that cross-time call. Mouth agape for ages without a sound. "Don't you still have her house key?" His voice calm as water. "Everything in the house is still there. Want to see anything, just go look." "Thank you." I nodded lightly. He smiled faintly, then turned away. Leaving the cemetery, I went straight to her place. 5 years now, stepping again into this familiar yet strange spot. Felt like walking through a time tunnel. Everything in the room's still the same. On the coffee table by the window, the withered sunflowers long crumbled to dust, covering the surface. Perhaps the family feared stirring memories, so sealed the house, letting no one enter. Every item covered in thick dust. I found her phone effortlessly in the desk drawer, carefully wiped it clean, and plugged in the charger. Plugged into power. Unexpectedly, she'd been gone nearly 2 years. Yet this phone was more resilient than its owner, still working normally. Even more surprising, her phone number hadn't been canceled. Plenty of balance left. While waiting for WeChat to update, I casually picked up the small wooden box in the corner, brushed off the dust. I remembered this was something I bought at a flea market. Back then, I was dirt poor. The money spent wasn't much, but to me then it was a fortune. I couldn't stand her house being so barren. So often I'd sneak in little thoughts, secretly buying knickknacks to place inside. Elara Frost especially favored old items. This wooden box she kept on her writing desk. She once said solemnly, "Thank you, dear Alex Yuan. I'll treasure it well." Her serious expression was a bit cute, muttering she'd use it for the most important things. Clearly, her life was simple and lonely. Not many things truly important to her. So the box stayed empty. But now, opening it, inside quietly lay 2 letters. One was the love letter I wrote her at graduation. In this information explosion era, influenced by Elara Frost, I fell for old things, liking a leisurely, slow life. I stubbornly kept some romance from the slow carriage days, writing a letter rich with ink scent, slowly delivering it to her hands. The confession words were subtle, but the affection weighed 1,000 pounds, and pressed under my letter was Elara Frost's reply. I gripped the yellowed letter tightly, heart surging with emotions. So her reply had always been here. I yanked the curtains open forcefully, sat in the chair by the window, trembling as I opened her letter. Sunlight streamed through the window, tiny dust motes dancing in the rays. The letter slowly unfolded, revealing reply lines buried deep in time. Dear Alex Yuan, when writing this letter, the balcony door is still open. The green branches outside have grown to the railing. Today's sunshine is beautiful. I'll sit right here to write to you. Your letter, I've flipped through many times, each word like a red-hot iron on my heart. 2 kindred spirits, but regrettably can't walk together. Thinking back and forth, I don't know what to do. I'm nearing the end of my life. This affection has nowhere left to give. Saying love now would truly be a sin. Heard you're soon heading far for further studies. A vast future ahead. I've secretly been happy for you a long time. Dear Alex Yuan, angels descending must have flaws. Don't grieve more over prejudices. The road ahead will be full of sunshine. Flowers along the way blooming for you. I'm doing fine here. Said goodbyes to friends, one by one. Last night sneaked some treasured wine. After finishing your letter, I'll go to the corner flower stall to buy a bouquet of those sunflowers you often got. All beings come and go. That's natural. Don't sorrow over my departure. Warm winter sun like a gentle hand, caressing softly but also tiring. My eyelids droop, stinging unbearably. So I'll stop here, wishing you peace afar, smoothness without worries. The letter wasn't long, nor hard to understand, but I was entranced. Staring endlessly, between those lines seemed to linger her essence, a lasting aftertaste. Last time seeing her again, my heart was tangled chaos, eager for more, emotions fluctuating wildly. But this letter had a strange magic, instantly calming my soul. That's her, always able to soothe. I lazily basked in the sun, opened Elara Frost's WeChat. Sure enough, found myself on the blacklist. Past matters. Now verified in the future. Smugly, I removed myself from the blacklist. Then immediately sent her a message. Elara Frost trying to ditch me. Dream on. Waited nearly an hour. Elara Frost replied with a string of ellipses. This person is really clever. Guessed it in a flash. She asked. At my place. I huffed. Yeah. Sitting right by the study balcony texting you. This sounded so familiar. She asked again. Read the letter? Deep down she must have known the answer. No need for my reply. Then she added, forgot to tell you. I was curious. What? Elara Frost leisurely dropped. I died right where you're sitting. Warm sunshine enveloped my body, but the room still held a lingering chill. I smirked lightly. So what? Elara Frost kept scaring. There's a ghost in this room. I jutted my chin. Even better. Tell the ghost to appear. Pausing a bit, I dropped the smile. I really miss you. Elara Frost, just bantering, suddenly went silent. I stared at the chat screen. Finally waited for 2 words. I'm here. I immediately understood her meaning. Perhaps right now in another space. She's also sitting on that rocking chair under the balcony. We're clearly in the same position, yet separated by an impassable abyss. So close at hand, yet worlds apart. I stared blankly out the window. The tree branches now taller than the railing by a stretch. Winter passes. Spring arrives. Time flies so fast. Everything seems so beautiful. But without her presence, it all feels wrong. I resolutely typed on the phone screen. Elara Frost, I'll always be here waiting for you. If you don't come, I'll go find you no matter what. This world is naturally wonderful. But, I believe, you're worth pursuing more than the world itself. Elara Frost was silent for a long time without replying. I could picture it. Right now she's probably frowning at her phone, maybe even sighing deeply. I calmly wrote, don't try to convince me, and don't sigh over my stubbornness. You must live well. Martyrdom isn't some ancient legend. It's a devotion to each other. After that, Elara Frost didn't reply anymore, but I knew she understood everything. I spent the whole afternoon cleaning her house, spotless inside and out. When leaving, passing the roadside shop, the flowers in front, blooming in full, the brilliant yellow sunflowers shimmering in the sunset. The flower shop owner poked half his body out the door, exclaiming in surprise, "Hey there, it's you!" Before I could say anything, He pointed to the roadside over there, saying, "Back then I used to set up my flower stall there. You often came to buy my sunflowers." I remember nodding. He wiped his hands on his apron, grinning as he asked, "Heard from Professor Frost you went abroad to study, now back for good?" "Yes, I just returned." Just hearing Elara Frost's name, I couldn't help my curiosity. "Did she come by flowers often, sir?" "Sure, for a while she came all the time. Later, when her health weakened, she had me deliver to her home. 2 years ago, she said she wanted a long trip. So since then, I stopped delivering." Just look at Elara Frost. Even when lying, she's so gentle. I reached for a bouquet of sunflowers. The shop owner smiled, saying, "You and Professor Frost with sunflowers really have a special fondness." Whatever she chose became my habit too. The shop owner was extremely hospitable. He said, meaningfully, "Sunflowers are the flower most fitting for secret admirers. A silent way to express affection. She must have secretly loved you for many years already." I paused slightly. Just then, a customer came, so the owner went to attend. I didn't ask more. Later, stumbling upon the language of sunflowers, I truly realized. So, my unrequited love all those years had been quietly reciprocated by her. Amid those long drawn-out months and years, we'd been silently in love for so many years like that. The story of life and death is overwhelmingly heavy. Elara Frost always tactfully avoided it. From that day on, that topic was buried deep by us. Our communication became ordinary, to the point of disbelief. Originally, someone who hated trivial matters. But before her, I became a chatterbox. I had an endless desire to share with her. Every afternoon when the breeze lightly brushed, sunset gentle like water, I'd eagerly capture for her that captivating scene, stumbling on a good book or touching movie. I'd excitedly tell her, whether joy, sorrow, anger, big or small matters, I wanted to pour my heart out to her. Most of the time she just quietly listened. But I knew she understood all the hidden messages I wanted to convey. That I and this beautiful world were both waiting for her. What the future holds, no one knows. But we were both striving to live well. Elara Frost's daily habits were simple and orderly: eating on time, sleeping regularly, taking meds fully. To avoid worrying me, she always did everything perfectly. When going to bed, when waking up, when taking meds, when going to hospital, she'd report to me precisely. She always said lightly, "Dear Alex Yuan, I'm here to check in." We were both trying to downplay an unknown future, to cherish the present moments we could still feel each other. She never promised me anything, but kept drawing closer to me. At year's end, my sister got married. I filmed Elara Frost a short clip of the wedding, suddenly recalling her previous joke. I smirked mischievously, messaging, "My hubby went off to marry." Just sent that line. A strange resolve surged in my heart. Surroundings noisy and bustling. I clutched the phone, solemnly, typing word by word. "So, Elara Frost, now, you can come into my arms." Elara Frost probably didn't expect her joke to be twisted by me like this. So momentarily speechless. Surely, her heart was storming. Wedding ended. She still hadn't replied. I sighed softly, casually, checked past weather, then messaged her, "It'll rain where you are tonight. Remember umbrella if going out." Message sent. I drove back. Music in the car drifting with emotions. Car, starting up Ring Road, 3. Sky just windy and mild moments ago. Suddenly, pouring rain. Sunset afterglow vanished completely. Night quietly falling. Road jammed with endless lines of cars. Gazing far, amid the white sheets of rain. Taillights trailing like a long fire dragon, stretching endlessly. Right then, voice call from Elara Frost came in and her low voice over the speaker. It's raining. Roads jammed horribly. I looked at the motionless cars ahead, blurting. On Ring Road 3, how'd you know? Never expected to guess spot on. I chuckled. What a coincidence. Me too. Like a natural reflex. I whipped around to look out the window, though deep down knowing, even at the same coordinates, we couldn't possibly meet. Elara Frost, looking out the window again. I bet you are too. The call, originally so ordinary, but now carried a tinge of melancholy. We both felt that atmosphere. The other end, silent a while. Elara Frost spoke, her voice slightly hoarse. Alex Yuan. About the answer to that question. Knowing her personality, she was probably about to lecture a long moral. I quickly cut in. Wait till we meet, then tell me leisurely. We will definitely meet again. Ring Road 3 at 7 p.m. Torrential rain, drowning all worldly noise. I heard her say, I love you. The drive home now like a vast sea of cars. Yammed to despair. Rain still pouring. Blinding white. Dim yellow lights struggling to illuminate the way. But my heart suddenly light, as if soaring among clouds. The start of the 10th year. The one I love finally responded. We separated by 2 dimensions. Quietly began a silent romance. This world, though separated by vast distances, fate always loves using the strangest ways to gift those who persistently pursue the brightest flowers and applause. I visited Frost's home more frequently. After each tiring afternoon at work, I'd video call her. We each in different spaces, each doing our own thing, sometimes chatting, sometimes silent, enjoying the most comfortable feeling together. Once I was engrossed in a movie, neglecting her all afternoon. When I snapped back, saw her staring at me fixedly. I blushed red. She just smiled, saying, then you look at me too. To even it out, lovers in the honeymoon phase often get cheesy like that. I haughtily replied, not looking. Can't see anyway. Just finished speaking. Realized I slipped. Her eyes suddenly dimmed. I frantically apologized. I spoke nonsense. You're the best. Your presence is the most beautiful proof of love. Seeing her still down, I reached to stroke her brows through the screen, grinning. Come on, don't you think our date is super cool? She looked at me, gentle smile. Yeah, hey, super cool. In days we couldn't embrace, we still strove to express our love. One day, I received a bouquet of deep red roses, pre-ordered by Elara Frost. I asked, surprised, how'd you do that? She smiled. You idiot. Elara Frost, from 2018, ordering flowers for Alex Yuan, from 2021. Not that hard. I was touched speechless. She teased me. Hey, you caught me. I haughtily, Elara Frost, trying to take advantage of me. She laughed even louder. I secretly blushed shyly. Since the cross-space flower delivery succeeded, Elara Frost was like pumped with energy. This person looks so refined, but deep down, utterly romantic. Besides daily flowers, every holiday surprise gifts. I was dazzled by the pile of gifts. Every day, cheerfully delighted. Whole self, more lively. Felt like besides not jumping out before me instantly, she could do anything. We desperately wanted to erase the regret of not being together, loving happily like that. Time passed. My home filled everywhere with cute little things from Elara Frost. Once Ethan Blaze came over, saw that treasure pile and pouted. You two loving like this. Truly one of a kind in the world. I jutted chin proudly. Of course. He's the only one knowing between me and Elara Frost. Those sweet things I couldn't resist bragging to him. Utterly smug. Utterly satisfied. Just wanted to introduce her to the world soon. Beautiful indeed. Ethan Blaze saw my happy face. Hesitated to speak. What? He gritted teeth, finally said, "This might sound harsh, but you two are like drinking poison to quench thirst." That sentence, like a sharp sword, instantly piercing our relationship to bleed. My heart suddenly trembled. Actually, I always understood this person. Sober yet indulging. Once willing, no fear of unfavorable future. Ethan Blaze sighed long. Suddenly hugged me. "I won't advise you anymore. Just hope you two get what you wish. Our fate isn't concluded yet. Both me and Ilara Frost were risking all running toward happiness's goal." Time flew to early June 2019 for Ilara Frost. I unexpectedly received news she'd go abroad for treatment. My heart skipped, frantically asking her, "Didn't you say treatment was effective?" before she ran around to hospitals. My feeling was things improving daily. "Don't panic." Ilara Frost's voice gentle enough to wring water. "I am still fine. Going abroad to get better, not worsen it." Through the screen, her eyes shone like stars, full of hope, sincere to the point no one couldn't believe. I believed her. Next few months, things still fairly normal. Just video calls a bit fewer, but contact still tight. But until late October, bad thing happened. That morning, just woke up. I checked Ella weather, then messaged her, "Weather's great where you are today." By noon, she still no reply. I still rambled to her as habit. "This morning, students asked about you again. They adore you so much." Then added, "I super adore you too. My Professor Frost, the one always shining brightly through those long years." But until late night, Ilara Frost's side still silent. Voice calls, video calls one after another, all no one answering. I truly panicked. Over the past year and a half, Ilara Frost planned everything meticulously. Before every surgery, big or small, clearly reported times to me, fearing no reply would make me overthink. Today's sudden loss of contact was first time. All night I clutched phone, dozing briefly then startling awake. In days I thought she replied, but until next afternoon, she still no sign. October, late afternoon. Wind cold, like blade slices, piercing straight into flesh. I suddenly felt limbs chillingly cold, as if frozen into ice blocks. Throughout nearly 2 years loving, those fears of a distant past we suppressed, fear of the unknown, now like wild weeds, madly rising. In my heart, countless hypotheses. Most optimistic. Her condition suddenly changed. No time to notify me. Worse a bit. That mysterious cross-space call suddenly cut. And worst scenario, she passed in that dimension. I like a homeless child. Stood dazed amid tree-shaded school path. Heart filled with obscurity. Students passed in groups, continually casting curious glances at me. I oblivious to surroundings, until a familiar student greeted, "Professor Yuan." I snapped awake like from a dream. I grabbed his arm tight, asking rapidly, "Do you remember when Professor Frost died?" The student tilted head, thinking a bit, then said, "It's on the school's honor board. I think October 9th, 2019. My head boomed. Like a bomb exploding inside, blinding light enveloped my vision. World, suddenly, eerily silent. Seeing something off. Student worriedly asked, "Professor Yuan, you okay?" I opened mouth to speak, but couldn't utter a word. By timeline, in her space, yesterday was October 9th, 2019. Exactly the day Ilara Frost departed. Last vain hope, shattered completely. The call. Cross space, forever severed with her passing. Never to connect again. My heart, like hammered by sledge. Pain to suffocation. I knelt by roadside, sobbing silently. No longer carrying image. Student frantic, clueless what to do. Hurriedly pulled tissues from backpack for me. But I paid no heed. He squatted beside me long. Then timidly asked, "Professor Yuan, you all right?" He's still too young. How could he fathom pain of losing a loved one? Just silently stayed with me. From that day, I like a soulless shell, life drifting aimlessly. No idea how many days passed. Until Ethan Blaze burst in, yanking me from bed. Calls unanswered. Messages ignored. What the hell's wrong with you? I was weak, no strength to sit up. Ethan Blaze paled in horror, seeing my state. He rushed to pour water, then held it to my mouth. This attitude I had to drink or else. I reluctantly opened. Water in throat felt violently nauseous. I dry heaved, long, but nothing came. Tears streamed. Mouth endlessly calling, "Elara Frost. Elara Frost." Ethan Blaze frowned, asking, "Looking for her?" "I can't contact her anymore. She's vanished again." Ethan Blaze blank. "When did you contact Professor Frost?" Sunk in grief. Hearing that, I jolted. "You don't remember?" Ethan Blaze stared wide. "Remember what?" I froze too. Hurriedly grabbed phone, opened WeChat. To show him call history. Cross space between me and her. But, opening the app, I was utterly stunned. Entire chat history between me and Elara Frost vanished without trace. Everything back to original state. Only the New Year's message left. From my 3rd year abroad. Dear Alex Yuan. Happy New Year. May every year and month bring peace and smoothness. How could this be? I panicked, refreshing and searching madly. No matter how I tried, couldn't find a single trace of those calls. Ethan Blaze looked at me oddly. "You possessed or something?" I stared blankly at him. This moment, I even doubted if I was crazy. Could everything with Elara Frost over a year? Just my delusional dream. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I widened eyes, feeling like falling into deep abyss. I muttered to myself, then jumped up hard. But movement too sudden. Head spinning, world tilting. I nearly fell, clutching bed edge. To stand steady, what? That mad appearance scared Ethan Blaze to tears. "Alex Yuan, snap out of it." I just felt head like trampled by thousands of horses. Pain to exploding. Right then, strange memories flooded like torrent. They fast-forwarded in my brain like film. Utterly vivid and clear. In a small courtyard in the capital on a winter afternoon. Breeze gently blowing. A woman of elegant demeanor sitting by wooden table under eaves. On her lap, an unfinished book. Servant leading a young man approached. Respectfully, "Professor Frost, your guest is here." Elara Frost looked up. Her gaze lingered on his face a moment, then lightly shifted, lips curving faint smile. "Dear Alex Yuan, please sit." The youth stood rooted, just staring at her, without a word. Elara Frost reached to pour tea, but accidentally spilled a bit. Hot water hit her fingertip, instantly reddening the skin. The guy suddenly rushed over, snatching the teapot from her, grumbling softly, "Can't even pour tea right." Said that, the guy sat back straight, deliberately creating a cold, distant air. "What do you want with me?" Elara Frost smiled meaningfully. "You finally came." That's the answer. And that was their first meeting. Over next months, the guy occasionally visited her. Each meeting, just bland words. Everything passed. Utterly ordinary. On the last meeting, as the guy prepared to leave, Elara Frost suddenly said, "I'm leaving soon." The guy froze, slowly bowed head. When Copper Street lamps lit one by one, the guy looked up, timidly asking, "Professor Frost, can I borrow your phone a bit?" Elara Frost tilted head, glancing at him, then pushed the phone on table toward him. The guy took it, hesitating. Minutes later, slowly scrolled screen. Fingertips, typing very deliberately. Finished, he carefully checked several times. Then, relieved, returned the phone to her. Elara Frost's gaze brushed his reddening ear, lightly raising brow. "I hid a secret in your WeChat." The boy pursed lips, voice tiny like mosquito buzz. "Hope you won't find it. Past matters over. If you're willing, then we..." Words unfinished. His face flushed, then pale, as if recalling something unhappy. Abruptly silent. Elara Frost didn't press, just smiled, nodding. The boy full of disappointment, but unwilling. Turning to leave, still muttering, "It's fine. Days are long. Loving someone to abasement." Yet he kept convincing himself. Every few steps looking back. Right as he reached the door, Elara Frost suddenly called, "Dear Alex Yuan, treasure, the vast miles. See you again." The boy's eyes lit with hope. Steps, leaving lighter. After a violent dizziness, I absorbed this strange memory, body drained of strength. Slumping to floor by bed, I was utterly shocked, because I realized this was my own memory. The Alex Yuan in that memory was me from 2019-2020 in Los Angeles. A never-before memory suddenly appeared, meaning the past had changed. Elara Frost truly hadn't died. After losing contact with me in October 2019, until September 2020, she still occasionally met past me. My memory like swept by storm, completely rearranged, adding many fragments, both strange and real, all within Elara Frost's calculations. After cutting contact, she painstakingly arranged to meet past me again, just to, through that me and trust memories, convey to present me, and that treasure the vast miles. See you again. Clearly her speaking to me. I cried and laughed, like a madman, scaring Ethan Blaze, pale, staring at me, his voice trembling. "Alex Yuan, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me." I rushed, hugging him tight, tears and snot smearing his shirt. Elara Frost isn't dead. Everything with her was real. The cross-space call was already mysterious. So, after severing with messages vanishing, it makes logical sense. Thinking back, a year and a half with Elara Frost must be the gods' merciful pity. Ethan Blaze blank. What the hell? Professor Frost wasn't dead anyway. Seeing me calm, he pulled out phone to order food. "What you want?" I listlessly, "Whatever, as long as not starving." He glared at me. Made me think it was something major. Turns out still half dead over Professor Frost. History changed. Ethan Blaze's memory, rewritten too. He remembered nothing of old between me and Elara Frost. I didn't know how to explain fully. Just nodded firmly. Everything can be overlooked. Except Elara Frost. Ethan Blaze helplessly shook head. No more words. Some choose to bow to reality. Others defy all for love. This life has no standard definition. Living true to self is fulfillment. He ordered food, put away phone, then asked me. Heard years ago her illness worsened. Had to go abroad for treatment. You planning to find her? This news like dark clouds. But knowing she's alive is utmost fortune. I definitely must. October night. Window wide open. Stars scattered like gems in sky. Moon hanging high. Gentle silver light, spreading I'll find my own moon, for that gentle moonlight to warm my soul once more. After Ethan Blaze left, I sat motionless like statue by floor-to-ceiling window waiting dawn. When first sun rays pierced clouds, cities enveloping darkness gradually faded. I trembling opened Alara Frost's WeChat. All traces of cross-space call vanished clean. 2 dimensions now align. The person behind this account now is Alara Frost from 2022. She'd walked alone from 2019 to 2022, not our 2024. I tried calming, eyes heating as I composed message. Alara Frost from 2022. You still okay? Sky still early. Perhaps she hadn't picked up phone yet. I waited anxiously, certain this time her reply letter wouldn't be distant. City gradually awoke. Brilliant sunshine reflecting on glass, blinding my eyes. Phone vibrated lightly. I pounced like hungry tiger. Alara Frost. Dear Alex Yuan, I've waited for you so long. I instantly burst crying. To me, lost contact just days ago, but to her, 3 grueling years. 3 years, I wasn't there. I've waited for you so long. One sentence holding so much sorrow spreading in air, heart burning. Fingers flew on keyboard. Where are you? I want to see you immediately. I believed no need many words. She'd surely understand my burning thoughts. Alara Frost quickly replied, just back yesterday. This message, like brilliant fireworks, blooming in my heart. Ecstatic joy dizzied me. I hurriedly pressed. You've met past Alex Yuan, right? Her tone casual. Yeah. Then, as if recalling something, she curiously asked. He said he hid a secret in my WeChat. What is it? I smiled lightly. Fingers double-tapped her profile picture. Phone vibrated lightly. Chat screen popped a familiar line. I patted Alara Frost on the shoulder and said, Hey sis, come into my arms. I nearly laughed out loud. Alex Yuan from 2020, amid friends feverish over the new shoulder pat gimmick. Turns out learned this flirting move too. Alara Frost got it instantly. Going with the flow, replying, come to my place. Seeing those 3 words, I as if saw her brows raise, face full of gentle smiling intent. Truly lucky she's back. I no longer endure impatience crossing ocean to meet her, but unlucky on way to her place. I got stuck on Ring Road 3 again. Unlike that night's downpour, today, brilliant sun, patches, covering road ahead, but I still impatient wanting to meet her instantly. Cars, inched bit by bit. By time I reached under Alara Frost's building it was noon. I didn't forget to stop at Flower Shop for sunflower bouquet, then lightly knocked her door. Brief seconds wait, but my heart, like wild horse, ready to burst chest anytime. Door opened. A dapper man poked head out. He warmly looked at me, politely asking, looking for Frosty? I nodded vigorously. Yes, looking for her. I'm her brother. He stepped aside for me, as if fearing misunderstanding, wittily adding, biological brother, mind you? I couldn't help laughing, replying, you told me before. He tilted head, face full blank, clearly not remembering when he said that. Right, now Alara Frost, still living well. Naturally no parting. That memory meeting, he never had. I didn't explain much. He tactfully didn't ask more, but called into living room. Frosty, at the far end of spacious living room. Balcony door wide open. Light, wind through branches. Sun, dancing on treetops. A elegant, clean back, slightly tilted. Casual sweater making her look lazy, carefree. Delicate face. Gentle eyes. Pale skin, almost transparent under sunlight. She only 10 meters from me. Moment eyes met. Everything around vanished. In our eyes, only each other. The face I'd kissed countless times in dreams. Now right before me, my eyes blurred in misty tears. Feet nailed in place, unable to move half step. I wanted to touch her, but feared this, just a dream. Touch and she'd vanish with warm sun. Right then, the man's teasing voice rang. Frosty's boyfriend? Elara Frost lightly curved lips, drawing gentle arc. My lover. She stepped toward me, stopping before me, seeing my red-rimmed eyes. She sighed helplessly, crying again. I clutched the bouquet tight, stared at her, wordless. Before meeting her, my heart burned eagerly, but facing her now, I lacked courage to reach out and touch. Elara Frost bent slightly, slowly, leaned close. Warm breath brushed my lips. She patiently coaxed, traveled so far to meet. Be good, don't cry. Her not coaxing fine. Once, coaxing. My tears like dam burst flooding. So heartbreaking. This long-awaited reunion, how precious. Years passed. She struggled bitterly with illness, but time after time resiliently overcame, while I, in those tormenting days, couldn't even send a hot porridge bowl, a warm coat to her. This helpless love like a blade, stabbing heart painfully. My tears flowed like springs. She, full of helplessness and heartache, gently wiped my tears. You silly, don't cry. Aren't I still healthy now? Said that, she spread arms wide. Late autumn wind chilly, her hands colder than wind. I boldly hugged her tight, as if loosening a bit, she'd vanish. Her hands slowly stroked my back, cherishing like treasure, daring not use force even a bit. For this hug, we'd each walked alone on long arduous roads. That path full bitterness, but we steadfastly advanced toward each other. Elara Frost tormented by illness many years, but those remembering her not few. Students came in waves to visit, at first timidly calling me Professor Yuan, but after few visits, the kids grew bold. One ordinary afternoon, Elara Frost just woke from nap. I sat pondering in study. Students came over. One asked, Teacher, where's brother-in-law? Elara Frost clearly paused a bit. A moment later she chuckled, replying, In the study. Then she called my name toward study. I was deep in thought, so didn't respond. Since reuniting, I'd never dared dream too much. Suddenly hearing brother-in-law, my heart warmed immensely. A spark of expectation rose. Elara Frost pushed door and placed hand on my ear, gently asking, Didn't hear? Probably thinking my electronic cochlea faulty. I was thinking. I grasped her hand, fingers lightly brushing her fair back, heart struggling fiercely. I tested. How about our Echo Essence launching soon? Pick a nice day. I take you for surgery. Then we marry. Last 3 words not yet out, cut off by Elara Frost. I understood. She knew what I meant. She was deliberately avoiding. I swallowed those 3 words. Right. She worried she hadn't long. Didn't want to burden me. I didn't want to force her. So, the matter shelved like that. Under Elara Frost's arrangement, I became first implanted with Echo Essence. Surgery very minor. But Elara Frost worried more than if on table herself. She feared I'd hurt, joking that, if hurts, curse Elara Frost as jerk. What crappy research. Curse and pain gone. She made me chuckle. How could I curse? This surgery felt nothing, but I felt reborn. Previous electronic cochlea, good as was, couldn't match Echo Essence. Implanted no discomfort. Fully integrated with body. Every tiniest worldly sound hearable. If I didn't say, probably no one knew I was once hearing impaired. Throughout those long past years, amid regretful gazes, pity or disdain from people, I'd been insecure to not face worlds straight. Elara Frost understood all, silently protected my pride. No words needed. She brought world sounds, placed in my ears. After Echo Essence launched, reporters wanted to interview Elara Frost. Rejected, but they persisted, sending requests. Elara Frost, moved by sincerity, agreed. Female reporter met her tears welling. Told of deaf brother. Thanks to her research now hears words full sincere gratitude for Elara Frost. She repeated, "You're truly great." Elara Frost disliked such praise. She smiled wittily, replying, "You flatter. You might not believe. I researched Echo Essence just to win my lover's favor." Reporters saw she disliked flattery, so followed asking, "Pampered by you like that? He must be wonderful, right?" Then, window coated in white snow, smile in Elara Frost's eyes, gentle and profound, like warming whole winter. He's the only sun in my dark life. When spring came, I insisted, dragging Elara Frost for photos. I always fretted. So many years. We didn't even have one photo together. We stopped at roadside old photo studio. The photographer elderly, his photos thick with 90s vibe. In pics, we like from past. Faces serene. Gentle smiles, eerily in sync. Photographer holding old camera laughed, saying, "Been ages since I met a young pair like you two." Elara Frost chatted amiably with him. "What's special about us, sir?" "Very warm. Pure. Not showy, but one look sees sky full of love." Photographer pushed glasses on nose. "You two, heaven made. Besides each other, no one else fits." Elara Frost got playful again. "You talk so nicely. I must give you a big red envelope. This person truly interesting." Said and did. She turned to nearby convenience store, buy red envelope. Back. She stuffed a heavy red envelope in photographer's hand. He couldn't refuse. Laughed heartily, accepting. I lightly tugged Elara Frost's hem. Long hidden wish. Finally found chance to burst. "How about we take wedding photos too?" Smile on Elara Frost's face suddenly froze. She looked at me deeply, wordless. I knew she didn't want to ruin my life. That night, she frankly told me, "Alex Yuan, I could leave anytime. Maybe a late night, or dusk afternoon. Quietly go. Afraid? It's fine. You've done great." Of course, I was afraid. But fear achieves what? Years. She braced through illness. Extraordinary effort. Fate's mercy too. Finally, we reunited. Each passing day, like borrowed time. So we always cherished every second together, holding hands, embracing, kissing, loving fully. So if that day comes, we'd have fewer regrets. I squeezed her hand, mimicking her witty tone. "Elara Frost, you said you could go anytime. So, you must leave me a status, so I can rightfully tend your grave." Elara Frost suddenly turned face out window, throat slightly moving like suppressing emotions. "Alex Yuan." When serious, she called my name like that. When lazy, "Dear Alex Yuan." With that status, you'd really tend my grave decades. She was using that to coax me. She feared one day vanishing. Like that night I came seeking her. I solemnly nodded. Yes, for yearly grave visits. I must live to 100. Elara Frost turned back, eyes full deep affection and focus. "Then, it's a deal." Bloom. "Leaving regrets here." Day holding marriage certificate. I joy uncontainable. Like child showing off joy to friends. Elara Frost stared at that paper forever. eyes reddening. I teased her. Me. Major surgery like that. Didn't see you shed a tear. Today. Such joy. Why, crybaby? Really hopeless. She said nothing, just suddenly hugged me tight. Our life filled with love's sweetness. Elara Frost loved writing letters. I laughed her outdated. Nowadays everyone's busy. Where time for handwritten letters? But she affirmed, you'll read. Turns out, those letters, all for me. She showed utterly serious face telling me, I've prepared for your future years. Total over 10 letters. Wait till you read them all. Then come find me. Winter 3rd year after marriage. Bone-chilling cold. Drowsiness overtook Elara Frost. She curled on long chair by study balcony and dozed. But this time she never woke again. She was gentle to the core like that. Departing. Serenely and quietly, not wanting to bother anyone. First spring after she left, I opened that old chest. Amid packed letters, found the first one. Sitting in warm spring breeze, I quietly read her lines. Mr. Yuen, hope when opening you're always joyful. I guess you'll open this in spring. But no sneaking cries, okay. This life, as your spouse. To me, God's priceless gift. Though brief, but truly happy. I'm immensely grateful. Years tormented by illness couldn't give you completeness. My heart always ached. If not meeting you, that brilliant ray, I could have resigned darkness. But how lucky it was you who came by your side. Though I withered daily, heart always full of vitality. Mr. Yuen, the past rode hard on you. Be hard a bit more. Step forward, strongly okay. Wait reunion day. Tell me places you've been. About dawns and dusks. About clouds and gentle winds. About long rivers, vast mountains. Winter will pass. And spring surely comes. Must live days, poetic, beautiful. And keep this passion forever, okay? Mr. Yuen, this time I wait for you. Road long, take your time. Don't worry, I'm always here. I fingered her every stroke, trying to hold back tears. Then spread paper, wanting to reply her, but wrote few lines, couldn't continue. Had to hastily stop. On paper, just one line. This first year since you left. Rest easy, I didn't cry. Still living well. I stored red letter and reply back in chest. Wait next year for her second letter. Future ahead still many years. I'll strive living well each one. Following her words. I think this life of mine probably just that. Every road has end. We'll reunite eventually. Then, I'll hug huge sunflower bouquet telling her, look, my hair all white now. I've been so obedient to you. Hurry hug me. Perhaps ending not as wished perfect, but we both poured hearts to love.